Today, I have one of my dearest friends in the ecosystem, who is a ecosystem engineer for the Solana Foundation. Please put your hands together for Harkle. Hey!
Yeah. Cheers, bro. Bro, that's a very endearing intro, man. I consider you the same. Like,
Ah, nothing but
we've
love
been friends
here.
for like 3 years now, maybe more.
No, just under 3 years, I think.
Just
What?
under that. It's so Dutch of you.
When was the first island DAO?
Yeah, right. Crete. So yeah, that would have been 2023
Yeah, I think so.
September.
Ish. No,
Yeah,
earlier. It was May.
earlier,
Yeah,
May.
because right after we had Island DAO in Thailand, right
That
after
was our
Breakpoint
Breakpoint.
Singapore. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, actually, there's a good story that we could talk about a little bit later with that Creek Island out, but
for
when we first met.
for the people that don't know you, tell us a little bit who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Harkle. I work for Solana Foundation as an ecosystem engineer. My core responsibilities are really the websites, so solana.com, payments.org, pay.sh. Just keeping, I'm like the web janitor of Solana Foundation. So I do a lot of different stuff, but predominantly solana.com. And yeah, I kind of got into the ecosystem doing NFT stuff. Like that was really the thing that dragged me in. I was working full time while I did a lot of side projects, and but yeah, Solana, when I saw it, I was kind of all in because it was fast, cheap, and decentralized. I hadn't seen anything else like it, and yeah, just got deeper and deeper into the ecosystem. Went to a lot of international events like IslandDAO and stuff. Met more and more people, and then essentially landed my role at Foundation in May of last year. So I've been, yeah, just over a year. Just had my 1 year anniversary.
Congrats on that.
Cheers, man. Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
So so this new website got launched recently, about, yeah, you were able to see where you rank in earliness of mentioning Solana on X. Where did you land? What year was it?
Yeah, so mine was May 2021.
Same as me.
Hey, see, look at
Hey, that's
that.
pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not even sure who built that website. I think it was either Vid or Steven, I think, maybe one of those guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a bit of fun. Everyone was pretty into it.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I wasn't around when Solana was still called Loom, which is
No,
like a pretty ridiculous name if you ask me. But yeah, I was pretty
I,
early.
I I remember. So like the first time I heard about it, I was working like I've got a background in government, so I like did 15 years contracting to New Zealand government and building, stuff, computer stuff, and the one of my colleagues, he was like, he heard about this thing called Solana and he mentioned it, and because we would geek out about blockchain stuff all the time. It looked at that stage like it was going to be a really big deal, and I was kind of getting bored of Web 2 stuff. I think like it was feeling pretty dry, and the whole big pull of crypto was like, oh my god, here's you know what I missed out on in Web 2 being early. Like crypto is having its moment now, and it's going to be the future in some way, shape, or form. And it looks like Solana is going to be that future because even then it was like the only thing that really fulfilled, I guess, Satoshi's vision, which was like something that was fast, cheap, and decentralized, payments oriented, and could replace the global financial rails of the existing system. So, but I think the price then was like 30 cents or something like that. And man, hindsight's 2020, but you
Yeah,
look back on those times and just wish that I'd full ported.
yeah. Well, I think at any given timeline, every blockchain would have had its moment and every token. But yeah, I mean, Satoshi didn't really build a scalable blockchain. So yeah, Solana is great. How did your what interested you in blockchain tech? initially?
So, and from the building side, like I bought my first Bitcoin in 2014, mainly because I just saw this thing that was kind of picking up speed, and I wanted to know how I could buy it. And in New Zealand, it was kind of a bit tricky because we just didn't have the same sort of infrastructure, and credit cards were blocked on different platforms, and so you couldn't buy it easily. And I ended up finding. Do you remember a game called Second Life? It was a MMORPG. They had an exchange called VWOX, and they had a currency, in-game currency called Linden dollars, and I figured out that I could buy Linden dollars with a credit card, and then I could swap it to Bitcoin and eject it from VWOX to a wallet. So that was just. I think I bought like two Bitcoin, achievement unlocked, and then I sold it for like $1,000 profit, and I was like, awesome, that was great. And then it wasn't until like 2018 that I sort of got more serious on it. But building wise, I think like 2021 was when I saw Solana, and I was like, oh shit, this is Web 2 speeds. You could integrate this in a website and it would feel like a normal payment experience. And so that's when I started looking at it seriously from a builder perspective. And I was talking to a mate, and I was like, I think we could probably, like, there could be a social network that you could build on this. It would be fast enough, and you could do some interesting things. And Twitter was crappy at the time, like they were censoring everyone, and it was really hard to kind of get in and be honest.
That's a way to put it.
Yeah. So I thought, I'll give it a crack. I'll use Solana and build a social network, and that was kind of my first ingress into the building ecosystem.
Nice. What was it called?
It was called Boom Army. So it started off as SoSol, like how everything was like Sol this and Sol that, and then rebranded as Boom. But we had a really good. It was a small community, like maybe 30 people. Early stage guys, but some of them are still kicking around, and we became pretty good mates through it. It was good.
Nice. What's your vision on SocialFi on Solana? We had a period, I think in 22, 23 when it was pretty popular, and then I feel like it died off. What's your opinion on it?
Yeah, it's a really tough space because there's just massive moats around the incumbents, and I mean, now that Twitter is good, although the algorithm changes all the time and people complain about it, until it gets bad again, I don't think anyone's going to have any sort of meaningful challenge to that. And in terms of Solana social, I mean, I think a lot of people are missing it, but naturally as things grow and get bigger, you lose, everything fragments, and so I think like the NFT nostalgia is really around communities. Like, the things that NFTs did better than anything was they sort of pulled together a whole bunch of people who had similar taste and style and perspective, and then those people could then meet, and they've formed some of the best communities that still exist, like MonkeyDAO, that sort of thing. But future, I'm not sure, man. It's I am certainly nostalgic for the community stuff. Naturally, as the chain grows and more institutions pile in, we sort of look more and more like TradFi, I think.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing in your opinion?
It's kind of like that when you are into a band and you might see them live, and there's a small group of people who and love, and then they go mainstream and suddenly explode, and then they're doing big concerts and stuff like that, and it's like, I knew the band before it was cool. So I think like I'm at OnionDAO at the moment, which is behind me, and I've been here for a few days, and it's really interesting to see like the people here are more younger and aspirational builders, so they're hacking on side projects and smaller projects, and some are bigger, but I think it's not like those original days when it was building a program on Solana was really tricky. And so the developers that were engaged were really cracked. And a lot of those developers are now pushing the ecosystem forward with Agave and, all the different protocol stuff. There's a lot more tooling that's user-friendly now. And so you're getting a lot of these younger people who see the liquidity and volume option and stuff like that, and they want a part of it and a piece of it, and they're going for it, building TypeScript apps basically. Yeah, so it's a very different sort of feel, but it's awesome. I mean, like, this is what's got to happen, right? We're maturing, and that's a good thing. And yeah, I just hope that all the people that we met along the way can still hang out and connect at Breakpoint and go to the side events and all that sort of thing, But I suppose that those old school people will become kind of more and more, I don't want to say exclusive, but like, it's just a natural thing that happens. Like the OGs kind of hang together and.
Yeah, I never thought when I entered the ecosystem that I was going to be one of the OGs. But yeah, I do consider myself one of the crew now. Yeah.
well, I don't know. I mean, Twitter is still a water cooler. Like everyone hangs out and shit posts, and there's new people coming into that space all the time, which is great because I think it's a great leveler as well. Like we've got people who just came out of nowhere, like 8-Bit Penis, for example. Like he's only been on the scene for maybe like 6 months and made a massive impact on what he's doing. And you can immediately, like when I first saw him, I was just like, this guy's awesome. He immediately resonated. And every month or so, there's someone like that who comes along and you just clock them, and or they've been around for a while and you haven't had the pleasure or opportunity of connecting. So like another guy is Ready Layer One, who's doing the Solana changelog stuff for Foundation now, and he's based in Thailand, I think, or Southeast Asia somewhere. But he's awesome. Like he's just everywhere. He's got a really feel good.
Yeah, it's a man with a mission.
100%, yeah, and just people who are passionate about the technology. It's like that whole bear market thing. Like the bear markets are great because it flushes out all of the tourists, and the serious builders stick around, and the people who believe in the vision and the future of the chain. And we're in that cycle at the moment. So
yeah, we call it the build market at Triton One.
This is good.
Yeah,
this is good. It is a build market.
When you build up for the next the next cycle, and make sure you're resilient and IBRLing all the time.
Yeah, all of your success in the next cycle comes from what happens right now here in the bear market, the build market.
Yeah, and I think we are building the right tooling. And
yeah, you guys have been having some crazy releases recently. It's awesome to see.
Yeah. I'm really proud of the team. My brain is really smooth, so I have no skin in the development game. But I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, it's cracked teams doing cracked things, right?
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what your responsibilities are at Solana Foundation.
So I'm kind of when I came into a team which was called Ecosystem Engineering under John Wong. He hired me. He's left recently, which is super gutting, but he's awesome. And when Vib came in, there was me and Vib, and there was about 10 hires, I think, in the space of about maybe 2 or 3 months. And so there was a lot of flux. Quite a few people left as well at that time. And I think at one point, maybe like even just 3 or 4 months ago, 60% of Foundation had been there less than a year. So there's been massive change within the organization structurally. And now I'm under Vib in a team called Product. But my role is sort of, because I really am the web janitor, I'm kind of everywhere. So I work pretty closely with the events team, with Ali and Amy and co. and I work with the engineering guys, like the DevRels, doing sort of supporting docs delivery and that sort of stuff. We did a big restructure. Like I restructured the entire Solana Com repo so that docs now sits on its own. So they've got a little bit more autonomy in terms of their delivery and things. And John Liu is a guy he runs the docs side of things. And yeah, so it's kind of it's a weird role because it's across a lot of teams. But yeah, generally product is where I sit. And then I think, with AI and stuff coming online heavily, which enables us to do a lot more, a lot faster. In the last 6 months since the start of the year, I've been trying to get around teams and travel a lot and meet people because, I personally think that AI is going to make those soft skills and relationships just so much more important, which is great. I'm super bullish on all that stuff.
Yeah, I agree. The amount of slop and, people just sending or asking AI to send an email, you can really tell the difference. And I think, I sometimes miss the personal connection when I'm working from home. So yeah, I'm really bullish on soft skills. I used to be in mental health care, so yeah, I think I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's all soft skills, right? Like you can't automate away the mental health connections and communication and all that sort of stuff. And I think, we're probably we're 25 years into this crazy experiment where technology's just become this part of our life that's super bonded to us. Our phones are always with us. Like you see, I went and got a bagel a few days ago and, just standing in line waiting for the order to come up, and there's a family sitting there, 2 parents and 2 kids, and the youngest was maybe like 6, and he didn't have a phone, but all the others had a phone, and they were just like glued to them like this.
Oh no!
You poor little dude! He's just sitting there like watching the wall. And so my hope is that AI it moves us away from such a device-oriented culture. It automates a lot of the stuff that we can consume and do in our workday, and then all of those soft skills become more important. But there is that weird thing as well where imperceptibly, subconsciously, the way that AI communicates, it's bleeding into our culture as well.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind the AI patter. Like I think, and it'll become more and more invisible as we get used to it. And that's fine because it's the talking, it's like face to face, even over Zoom or whatever, that is going to be super important.
I agree. How much do you leverage AI in your day-to-day?
Oh, massively. Yeah, I haven't meaningfully written a line of code probably since early 2025. Like everything is just point and shoot now, and then quality assess and deliver. I'm still, I'm on a mission to kind of find really good developers who are meaningfully using agents and orchestration in a code base. And so far that I really haven't found anyone doing that. And I haven't been able to crack that agentic loop yet, because I think like a lot of it still requires tons of hand holding. But yeah, we at Foundation, we use Codex and we use Claude pretty heavily. And there's a lot of automation that's happening around those pipelines. So yeah, so just yesterday, in fact, we've got a new content management system that I built, and it's all structured markdown files that sit in GitHub, and we've got a graphical layer over that allows the non-technical content marketers to edit like you would in any content management system. But we've got now a Slack channel where you can just drop a Google Doc in there. It runs through a pipeline, automates it into a news article, and basically creates a draft for for anyone who can then just finalize the edit and push it through. So, that's the first point in our content pipeline, but I can really sort of see that growing into something that's fully automates everything that we do, so that it's really just one click here, one click there, automatically sends off to legal. No one has to do any kind of manual communication. It's just a whole pipeline of steps, which is cool because it's boring, busy work, that sort of stuff,
Yeah, and I think getting everything the foundation does automated eventually will lead up to their goal, because the goal of the Solana Foundation is for there not to be a Solana Foundation in a foreseeable future. Is that still the goal at the Solana Foundation, or should I ask that someone else?
I'm on record early on saying, like, I've worked in government for a long time, right? And having been privy to that, the general rule of governance is that it never gets smaller, it always gets bigger. So I was always skeptical about that line. I think the official line at the moment is probably not that. We've grown our team maybe 20 people, 25 people in the last 6 months, and there's just more work than anyone can do. And I just don't think that that's ever not going to be the case. So, I don't know. These things are really fluid, I think. You've just got to look at the landscape in front of you at any given time, and with the best people, make the best decision that you can. And that's really all there is to it. It's all these kind of lofty ideas of long-term goals like that. I think that you're only setting yourself up for failure if you're saying stuff like that, just because, who knows what it's going to be like in even 1 year, let alone 5 years,
Yeah, I agree. But it is one of those evergreens, right?
What do you mean?
Well, when they say, oh yeah, the goal is for us not to have a job, we're gonna work ourselves out of a job.
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly, like, with this content pipeline stuff, I'm certainly aiming to do that myself. It's the whole idea of this pipeline is that I can be less hands-on. It's all automated. People don't need, I can fully envisage that we can actually build a page generated into this. I've been developing all of these skills around our design libraries and stuff. So what that means is that we've got a structure and a framework where you can request a page, you can give it a Google Doc or whatever, and it can outline the content, and then it'll mash that into a page. And so, there's a reasonable amount of my workload that's like we just launched the data. Did you see the data page, solana.com/data, which is so that got released just a few days ago, I think, and that's an aggregation tool that pulls all of the analytics like June and Artemis and DeFi Llama and stuff into a single place, which is super cool. And now we've got all of these great dashboards around stable coins and DeFi, and Wada, who was our data guy, he was the product owner for that. So I worked with him, I built that all out for him. But if I can get this pipeline really spinning, then we can have things like that where 90% of it can be built, and we'll just need a dev to come in and polish off the rough edges and then release.
Let's see if I can pull it up. Let's see. Here we go. Hey. Convenient. Let's see. All right, so this is at solana.com/data. It's not showing me the full screen. Let's try.
I think if you scroll down a bit, you'll see. Or is that on a smaller aspect? Oh yeah,
there we go. Yeah. So for those that are listening through Spotify or don't have the visuals, it's a really nice looking page. It's got overview, network, stable coins, and then underneath it, so those are tabs. And then underneath that, you can build from this data. And it is...
Yeah. So the whole library is open source. So there's links in the base to the GitHub repo that powers this whole thing, and then it's all powered by Databricks, which pulls in all of the different content from around the place and aggregates it together into those charts. But you can see it's crazy. Like one of the main reasons that we launched this on Solana.com is different data providers have quite different data on different metrics. So I don't know if you go to the overview page, maybe that's probably like if you go to the overview in the menu at the top on the left hand side, there should be an overview tab next to DeFi and stable coins and stuff. Can you see that? It looks like the screen's clipped.
Yeah, this is on my secondary screen, so
Oh yeah,
I can't see it here.
small.
What did you want to show?
Well, even if you go down to the bottom, like just scroll down to the bottom there, you can kind of you can see there with the fee payers.
Yeah.
Like if you hover over that fee payers tab there, put Artemis back on and hover over the chart. So like there's some really crazy disparate data there. Like, what have you got there? Artemis is reporting 4.1 million, and then the rest are reporting kind of 1.5 or whatever, or 1.8. And so one of the huge value props of this dashboard is that it gives you an idea of the spread of the data, like where the measurements sit, because sometimes there are these large spreads on different counts of things, which can be confusing for people. And then we aggregate those spreads to the top in that summary pane.
Same on compute units. There's a discrepancy there of around, what's that, 3%? And then,
yeah.
Sol price.
Like I'm not a big data guy, but the feedback that we've had from the ecosystem has been overwhelmingly positive on this, just because there's a lot of people who have different views on different dashboards and things like that, and they're like, oh, this is great, it's all in one place, we can kind of see the spread on the data and get a really good idea of what is actually in existence and where it might sit in reality.
It's I was not aware of this website yet. As a Solana OG, I rarely visit the Solana website, to be honest. But I think that also has to do with, when I started with Solana, the information was very fragmented. The website was very limited in what you could do there. There were some news articles from 2020 in 2023. So I think a lot of people might not be aware of what you've built. Do you think?
Yeah, it was when I came in last year and kind of started digging into the repo of .com. It was a bit of a mess, like there was this on the technical side of things, we had one crazy example which sort of gives you a good idea of the structure of it. We had a Firma Docs, which is like a docs, like a documentation piece of open source software that you can plug in, mashed into our main repository, and the way that Next, which is the JavaScript framework that runs the site, works is that you usually choose one of an app router or a pages router, and one is kind of older, one is more modern. Now, those two, we had our website running pages router, we had Firma Docs running the app router, and we had mashed it into a single folder and had all this boilerplate to make the router work together. And so there's just been like that sort of technical debt that existed when I came on board. That's all been solved since I've been there. It was probably the biggest piece of work that I've done. That it took about 6 or 7 months to really meaningfully solve a lot of that stuff. But now we're in a much better space. And I think what happened was that because the website was starting to get so unwieldy in terms of just the speed and the structure of it and what was there and the organization, like it was just, everything was everywhere. people started gravitating away from putting content on there because it was hard and, it probably took a long time and yeah, just crazy stuff really. But that happens in legacy software, like you just get this natural attrition of things that get bolted on, and unless you've got someone who is really calling the shots about how something should work and has a vision for the structure, then stuff just ends up in this kind of big chaotic mess. So now we're well past that, and obviously the design and stuff has improved a lot, and we're starting to get a lot more meaningful content. And I suppose like one of the things that I'm most proud of is that I think the user experience or the delivery experience is a lot smoother now. And so, the teams are finding it a lot easier to push stuff into Solana.com as a site. And it makes sense because we've got like the amount of traffic that it gets compared to a lot of the other smaller sub-sites and domains and things, subdomains and things it's massive comparatively, and every time you launch a new subdomain, it takes time to build the SEO and all that sort of stuff.
So how many visitors are there on a monthly basis?
Yeah, I think at the moment we get about 2 million unique visitors a month.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's kind of not as crazy as it should be. Like it probably should be a lot more than that. Our SEO has improved a lot, but I think the other thing that you're seeing at the moment is everyone's moving into replacing Google search with Claude or ChatGPT, right? And so what we're actually seeing is slowly over time, the user engagement is ticking down as far as human users, but the agent stuff is starting to go up massively. And we've done a ton of work around building out Solana.com for agents as well. So all of the site pretty much is agent ready. And we rank really well in AEO, which is like the agent version of SEO, because of the work. Like a lot of that work was done back in February, but it's got quite a long uptake. And so now, we're starting to see massive results out of that. We rank really highly.
For teams listening in that have not thought about getting their website agent ready yet, what would your biggest recommendation be, or where would they need to start?
Yeah, so it's one of those areas that's new, and so the standards are still evolving, but there's probably a few really simple things that you can do. So one of them is have an LLMs.txt file, which basically just it's like robots text for SEO, but for agents. And that's a point of entry where an agent can go in and immediately consume and understand what the purpose of the site is, what the content structure looks like, that sort of thing. And there's really, you can go out and search a whole bunch of articles around how to implement that. The other thing is a skill.md file. If you've got any actions-based stuff that agents can do at the root of your domain. So if you go to solana.com/skill.md, you'll see that's linked to a whole lot of developer skills and skills that are around the Solana ecosystem. And then, probably the third thing, which is a bit of a value add, and I'm not sure how successful it is, but making all of your content available as .md, so as Markdown. And then you can use the LLMs.txt file to kind of instruct the agent that all of these pages that you visit are available as Markdown if you want them. So it can just add that suffix and consume a Markdown file rather than HTML. Yeah.
That's really helpful. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy like how, they're really simple things that you can do. And like I said, I think at the moment we've recently been looking at our AEO tooling, and we've been talking to a few different teams, and I've been building a tool as well that is specific for that AEO delivery. But in terms of the stats that we've looked at, we've got like 30% of the agent mindshare around blockchain related stuff at the moment, which is pretty wild. Generally, I don't know how they measure that, but that's the metric that's that back.
So what does that mean? Like, agent mindshare? Does it mean that Solana is like the blockchain of choice for agents in 30% of the time?
So the way that you measure it is you have a set of prompts that you would throw out to Claude and GPT and Gemini and Perplexity and like all of the major players, and then you measure what the response to that prompt is. And the prompts can be quite generic around just general blockchain stuff, or perps, or spot, like where's the best place to buy spot related instruments on blockchain. And inevitably, when you ask those general questions, Solana features heavily in all of them. So the agents have a really good understanding of what Solana is, what it does, what the features are, and we're really winning in that space at the moment, which is pretty cool.
All right, let's pump our bags. Let's go, well, agents. Deploy some capital.
The agents are building the future of France, and the future of France, I guess, is the natural thing is it will lead to the token price. So.
Well, we'll see. So at the start, you mentioned you wanted to circle back to something.
Oh yeah, I was we talked about Triton. So if you can recall our first meeting, I think when I came to OnionDAO and we first met, we were out having drinks with a couple of the guys like Vlad and a few others, and I was like, "Who's this guy, Steve?" And we had this very not heated, but kind of back and forth discussion about how much you should have to pay for an RPC node, right?
Yeah.
Or for an RPC subscription. And I was of the view that you need to make these things accessible. There should at least be a free plan, or somewhere around $50. I think like you guys were charging minimum of like $500 for your plan at that time, and you, in no uncertain terms, set me straight about it, and it completely blew my world away, because I had this realization that if that was the case, if RPC infrastructure was expensive and it was going to be increasingly expensive, then Solana wasn't a P2P chain; it was a B2B chain. Like it was business orientated, and I think I went away for maybe a good couple of weeks, really soul searching around what I was doing in the ecosystem. My whole thesis was wrong, and all this sort of stuff. Do you remember that?
Yeah. But I did take that at heart, and we did come up with new pricing plans. So
yeah, well, now you've got pay as you go, right?
Yes.
So maybe in hindsight, I had the bigger impact.
Yes, I think so. Well, it
was. Are you saying that I was right?
I think we were both wrong.
No, I was definitely right.
No, but our business model was different from what it is now. We were focusing heavily on teams with big front ends, huge back ends. And the $500 plan was an unlimited plan for front ends. So the people who were consuming it were, making really, really good use of it as well. And if we measure that in hindsight, we were operating at a loss. So yeah, having the same amount of traffic for less money would be a bad business model. So we created a tooling in order to effectively measure traffic in a better way, and then having a pay-as-you-go plan, you only pay for what you use, and your credit expires after a year, not a month. So the use it or lose it is not that. It's not that.
Well, it's a much better setup for agents as well. Like it's that whole pay.sh model. Like that's another thing that launched recently, pay.sh, which is API endpoints for agents, essentially, where you don't need an account, you don't need any KYC or anything like that. We partnered with Google and essentially like made a whole lot of their services, which were traditional, structured in a way that an agent can pay a cent to $1 or whatever, and make a MAC call or things. So I think, in terms of future proofing things, pay as you go is really it's the big opportunity for everyone at the moment.
Yeah, and if your agent starts 1 million subscriptions and really starts abusing the endpoint, it will run out of credit and not leave you with a 100K bill at the end of the month, which you're not expecting.
Yeah, agents can do dangerous things.
Yes,
sure, especially if you give them the keys to the kingdom.
Imagine giving your agent access to Google Bigtable, and it just starts downloading the entire ledger. Wow, that would be expensive.
Yeah, I mean, we've all heard the stories about people accidentally deleting production databases and stuff, right? Because they gave the agents admin permissions and things. So I'm sure it's happened.
It's wild. Yeah, I bet it has happened. So where do you see the Solana headed? Is it going to be the agents chain? Is it going to be the consumer chain? Is it going to be the DeFi chain? Is it going to be TradFi chain? Is it going to be all of those?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is my own opinion, and it might be a little bit controversial, but I think that there's really only room for one ultimate player in the space who does everything right. I think Solana's taken a contrarian bet in that the fast and cheap and meaningfully decentralized at scale bet is the right one to take, and it's going to become financial infrastructure for the entire world. So I think we're seeing the evidence of that in swap markets at the moment, and the fact that things like SpaceX, we can launch those on day one when the IPO first goes live, and be open over the weekend. And I mean, that was super fascinating to watch the weekend market data action on Solana, and then watch the traditional markets kick in and respond, and then watching it dump as well. On retail especially was kind of wild. But yeah, I mean, I think that's like a really good case study of one particular area that we've sewn up pretty meaningfully for now, and I think that very soon there's going to be more and more of those verticals that get sewn up. I think that the people who have gone after a single vertical and tried to do it on blockchain, but in a traditional finance sort of way, they're essentially going to fall victim to that traditional finance system, which is very controlled, very highly regulated, very cut off from most people. The ladder is pulled up pretty high, and that's they're going to fall under the weight of that and just become like another instrument essentially. So that's where Solana has a completely different idea and bet, because I mean, you can't regulate a lot of it. There's the tooling on top of it with privacy and token 2022 and things like that, like Solana developer platform, where we can meaningfully build these units on top of the blockchain that allow for that regulation and for institutions to do what they always do in the fashion that they used to. But the underlying rails is ubiquitous, it's open, it's democratic, and it's free. And I think it's like Linux that ate Web 2, the open source software wins, and it always wins. And so, yeah, I think we're going to eat into everything, including perps, including store of value, and whatever else, can be put on chain.
Put everything on chain.
Yeah, well, it's just, I mean, we've solved the biggest, hardest problem, which is like a secure peer-to-peer network that's an open ledger. Like that's the biggest problem to solve. There's still a lot of chains out there that are still trying to solve that problem. Whereas we're sort of at the point where we've got things like 00 who are building, we're hitting the limits of physics in terms of what we can do on natural networks. And so we're looking at different ways to actually increase that bandwidth, and reduce latency. So you don't get to that point without solving all of those hard problems first, and then also battle testing it, because people talk about outages on Solana, and that's still probably part of it, of the mindshare. But I mean, our last outage was in February 2024. We've had 100% uptime for over 2 years now. It doesn't count out the possibility of things happening down the line, but ultimately there's a whole new problem set that we're solving for now, and so we're so far ahead. I just unless we do something really stupid and wrong, I can't see people catching up in a hurry.
I had a conversation with Alessandro last week about the Alpenglow upgrade and how to approach the network upgrade. But I'm pretty bullish on that. But you can always say or announce scheduled downtime and then upgrade. Hopefully it doesn't go down, and then say it's a prank.
Is that what he said?
That's what I said. So Vibu, if you're watching, if you need a marketing genius.
Yeah, I'm not sure the market would respond favorably.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, those engineers who are building Agave and FireDancer and stuff, they're just the best in the world at what they do. It's insane, and it's such a privilege working around people like that. Like especially coming from a small place like New Zealand, to be involved at this high level, and then kind of realize, oh shit, the stuff that I did at home has set me up pretty well to foot it in this ecosystem with these top guys. Is pretty wild, to be fair. Pretty humbling.
Yeah, I feel the same about Triton 1. We've got the best of the best. Like, it's crazy. And then
solving the hardest problems, right?
Yes. So yeah, for us, especially with Solana RPC 2.0, the work that they did is amazing, and they're all open sourcing it. It's getting rolled out. Superbank, Cloudbreak, full reading account state. What do you think about the problem of storing the Solana ledger? Like, if Solana becomes the everything chain, how big does the ledger get real fast?
Yeah, the other thing is, like, quantum's coming, right? And so that's going to put a whole lot of compute load onto the chain in terms of, I presume, the length of the hashes. Is it Falcon 512 that we've got to move to? It's all prepped and ready to go, but I think with this whole proposition that's almost through the SIMD to reduce the block time to 200 milliseconds, no one is better positioned for us than us to meaningfully deliver on that. In terms of the size of the ledger, I don't know. It's probably above my pay grade, to be honest. But these things have also been solved with databases and things like that. So I know that there's some negativity around sharding and things like that, but potentially for historic data, I don't know whether that's an option, or I'm pretty confident that we've got all of the smartest guys in the room, and that they're gonna solve it when it becomes a problem. And then the other thing is Moore's law, right? Like, storage is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm assuming compute is still going to get faster and faster and faster. So maybe we won't need to meaningfully solve it, because we'll have the scale of hardware that exists to manage it. But this is the beauty of dealing with problems as they come up, and not trying to solutionize around things. Like, I think that's one of the biggest dangers in tech, is trying to look too far in the future and solve problems that don't exist yet. You want to be mindful of those things, but really what you want to be doing is, with whatever's on your plate at the moment, you want to be solving that with the most minimal, simple solution that is effective that you can. And that provides good user experience,
Taking it hard. So if you're watching right now, and I know some of you are watching, if you have a question for Harkle, make sure to drop it in the chat before we end up or we wrap it up. What is one of the questions that I have not asked you yet, but I should have?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess there's nothing that's top of mind. I'm generally, I think, just there's with Foundation, I probably, maybe what is it like delivering in Foundation? Like what is it like being a member of Foundation and like coming from the ecosystem and moving into a role in Foundation? And one of the big things is, there's more work in Foundation than anyone can do. And I think that translates to some people into maybe that it looks like we're favoring other people or favoring certain teams.
The infamous king-making.
Yeah, the king-making thing. So, the reality of like Foundation, I think we're like almost 90 people now, which is still very small comparatively. I think like Ethereum are downsizing from 400 or 500 if their Foundation or 300 or something like that.
Really?
At the moment.
Hot damn.
Yeah, they've got a lot of people.
What are they doing all day?
Yeah, right.
They're verifying the transactions by hand.
Well, there is more work than we can do, I think in a traditional business structure, like the compulsion is to hire more people to fill those gaps, But what happens when you do that is that you get a larger organization that's more process driven, potentially more out of touch with the community and the ecosystem. And, it's one of those situations where you get a big ship with a small rudder, so it can't turn very easily. It's very slow and unwieldy. And I think one of the big benefits of Foundation in its small size is that a lot of us are, we're trying to be everywhere, even though we can't be, but we're more connected to the community than most other ecosystems are. And yeah, really, as far as the community angle, from an outside perspective looking in, there's a lot of people who maybe don't know how to ask for whatever their ask is. They make things complicated. They make it the ask unclear. They're asking for the wrong thing. They may be confused about what Foundation even do and what our remit is. So, there's a big piece of advice in that if you're engaging Foundation, one of the best things that you can do is package something up so that it's really super simple. A, for someone to digest. B, that the ask kind of aligns with what Foundation does well, which is like connecting people to the right people in the ecosystem, grants where it makes sense, and then just generally advice around the broad flat structure of Solana itself. And if you do that, you just make the team's job so much easier, because you've got to remember that there's just like hundreds and hundreds of these requests coming in all of the time. And so you're competing for mindshare, essentially. And maybe with AI, we're going to be able to improve all of this sort of stuff and filter a lot of it. But people can just do themselves a massive favor and really take a considered approach to engagement,
The amount of requests I get, from being in my role of introducing someone to the foundation, and then I ask them, all right, so what's it about? Who do you need? Maybe I can help. It's really extremely vague. What they just want to get someone. But yeah, it's not clear. What's the biggest advice you would give me personally?
As far as connecting with Foundation goes?
Well, no, I'm fairly well connected with the
Yeah,
foundation,
you're
but
pretty well connected, right?
but in terms of getting my content pushed a bit more by the Solana Foundation.
I mean, I think the big story that we want to tell is broad success in the ecosystem. I think like I saw Tolly tweeted about it the other day. He said, something along the lines of it's really easy to kingmake people or teams who have product market fit, who have a really good quality product, and who are have meaningful users who are using it. Because it's a win. You're essentially like you're already on the path to success, and ultimately, Foundation shouldn't be the one who is kingmaking. And I don't think we do really. Like we give exposure to people online who are doing really interesting things and who are successful in the ecosystem. But these teams are already doing really well, and they do really well without us. So the TLDR of that is just build a fucking good product, care about your users, and get good feedback, and then build for those people, and start earning revenue. And like if you're doing that, it's super easy to tell a really good story about it.
Great advice. Thanks. We're at time, but thank you for being on. I know it's early where you're at. Tell us a little bit about OnionDAO for those who don't know.
Yeah, right. So I'm at OnionDAO at the moment. So OnionDAO is started and set up and run by Spaceman Dev, who works at Foundation now as a DevRel, I think. So it's pretty cool. There's like maybe 40 or 50 people here, all hacking on stuff. There's a 3D printing room just behind me with people working in it. There's like soldering stations. The cards are really cool, actually. Like the actual ID card that we got for this is a tiny little like an ESP32 board. And so what you do with that, it's got an e-ink screen on it, and you can program your own sort of device. I haven't got time to work on this yet, but I'm thinking I might try and put an ore miner on mine.
Ooh,
which would be fun.
Ooh la la. That's crazy. Yeah. I love that.
A little hardware miner.
All right, so it's like
it's pretty cool.
It's a co-working. Until when does it last?
It's a hacker house essentially. So this is the last week. It's been running for all of June, and each week has a theme. And there's presentations. I'm going to be doing a presentation later today on pay.sh and getting people up to speed from 0 to 1 on how they can connect their agents and use those agentic endpoints to pay for things. So there's all sorts of stuff like that going on. There's a schedule every day, I think 4 or 5 presentations each day, and just people sharing ideas. And these are the sort of places which are really awesome because, you get to spend a lot of time with people. You can go deeper than just the conversational pitter-patter that you often get at conferences. And your next best friends are here, right?
Yeah, I agree. For those that are building on Solana and have never attended an IRL event or have been in the room, usually what takes you weeks gets done in a matter of hours at a co-work like that. So if you ever get a chance, make sure to come down, bring a friend, and get hacking.
Highly recommend it.
All right. Thanks again for being on.
Thanks for having me, man.
I
feel like it's just a good opportunity for us to hang out, even.
Yeah, I hope the good vibes were shared with our listeners. To not dox you, I will not ask when will I see you again, but I hope it's soon. And we need to arrange that.
A couple of months, I think we can sort it out.
If you made it to this part of the podcast, next week I have the OnionDAO team actually to talk about a month-long hacker house in Utah on the mountain. So yeah, if you're interested in learning more about in-person events, then make sure to drop in at the same time next week. For now, thanks so much for listening in. Thank you, Harkle, for dropping by and share your wisdom with us. And I hope to see you soon, brother.
Thanks for having me, bro. It's been a pleasure.
All
Always
right.
good to see your face, man.
Likewise.